Hey there folks, and welcome to the Truck King YouTube channel. This is exciting because we finally have an all-new Toyota 4Runner. The 4Runner, as it was one of the oldest vehicles on the market, so it's a welcome addition to this SUV lineup, and I want to tell you all about it. So in this video, we're going to go off-road, we'll go on-road, we'll talk about all the numbers, the powertrains, the third row, and more, so make sure you stay tuned. Let's do a walk around now, folks, and we'll start with the powertrain. So 4Runner now has two available powertrains. First, there's this one. That's a 2.4 liter turbocharged four-cylinder, making 278 horsepower and 317 pound-feet of torque, or you can get the iForce Max Hybrid. Same engine, mated to a hybrid setup. Total system output there is 326 horsepower and 465 pound-feet of torque, and that is all sent through an 8-speed automatic. So this model that we're looking at right here is the TRD Sport. This is just one step up from base in Canada. So essentially it's a base model with most of its features, but it does get some of the nicer styling things. Things like body color, mirror caps and accents, that hood scoop up there, which is fake, but it is for looks and it does look kind of cool. You get a unique grille in the front end, some upgraded wheels as well. And then just talking overall styling here on the 4Runner, definitely looks athletic to my eye. Plus it's a strong family resemblance. It does look a bit like a Tacoma with a back end on it, or even just like a baby Sequoia. But why don't you drop in the comments right now and just let me know what you think of the looks on this all new 4Runner. Now we can head to the back end because there's a few things I want to show you back here. First of all, these rear windows actually wrap up into the roof just a little bit, and that's a callback to classic 4Runner models that had those sort of wrap-around rear windows. Now we get to the back glass, and yes, it is still powered glass, so you can grab your down arrow here, and down goes your glass, and that allows you to access all of this storage. Now the model we're looking at here doesn't have the third row, but you can see what it does have is a significant amount of storage, plus these two bins on either side, and you're even getting a plug. Now in non-hybrid models, this is just 400 watts, but if you do step up to the hybrid, you're actually getting a little over 2,000 watts of power. So nice to have the power there. And then when you're done accessing things in your rear, hit the up button, and up goes your glass. That is a classic 4Runner feature, and it hasn't gone anywhere. Now I do want to talk about towing. It has been improved, 6,000 pounds on the gas models and 5,800 pounds on the hybrid models, which are also gas. But yes, the gas plus hybrid will do a little bit less than just the gas only models. Now that's a good number, and there's an integrated trailer brake controller now available. I would say my one issue with this is they didn't change where the light hookups are. To hook up your trailer lighting, you're reaching down here underneath the bumper to get into those light hookups. So not only is it annoying to actually reach, but honestly, I've had some trailers where the wiring isn't long enough to get this far underneath the vehicle. And then when it comes to going off-road, this is actually hanging down and a little bit exposed. So yeah, I do wish they would have changed the positioning of their trailer light hookup, but they have not done that. So that's about it for the walk around, folks. Why don't we go for a drive now on road? I'll tell you about how it feels there, and then we'll head off road and have some fun in the dirt. All right, folks, now we're here behind the wheel of the 4Runner. And before we go do the fun stuff in the dirt, I wanted to come on road and really just feel it in more of a highway situation. So right now I'm in a TRD Off-Road Premium model, which has just the 2.4 turbo, the base engine, no hybrid here. And I am happy to report that the power feels good. This base engine absolutely feels more powerful than the old 4-liter V6 that it's replacing, and that is important, which means that once you step up into that hybrid, yeah, you're just going to get that more punch out of the powertrain. So power feels good. It is turbo, so there's a beat of lag, and then it comes on strong, but that's fine. And then the other huge difference in the powertrain is the 8-speed automatic. With the old 5-speed in the 4Runner, it really pronounced itself. The shifts felt very abrupt. You'd even get a bit of this sort of rocking and shaking because those gear ratios had to be so spread out. Whereas now we have this 8-speed, and the best thing I can say about it is it totally stays out of the way. The shifts are quick, and they are exactly when they're supposed to be. You just don't really notice the transmission, which is what you want, and that couldn't have been said before with the 4Runner when you notice the transmission all the time. So transmission is a massive change, and then I would say the second biggest change in terms of the drive experience or driving feel is the suspension. The last gen 4Runner had soft suspension. It would roll around corners. The nosedive on braking was really pronounced. When you put your foot to the throttle, you'd even get the nose lifting up a bit. All of that is gone. It's a thing of the past. This new 4Runner is stiff enough to just provide the confidence in the corners. We're down here in California right now too, so the road's really twisty, windy back and forth. And yeah, I would even go as far to say that this thing handles well. It wants to go around corners, where the old 4Runner never felt like that. So a much tighter handling and suspension feel out of this vehicle, which equals confidence, and it also equals just ease of driving. When you had all that body roll in the old 4Runner, just made the whole thing feel wishy-washy, did not inspire confidence. This new one definitely does. Let's talk about the third row quickly, and first of all, you can see me climbing into it here, and no, I do not fit. That's not surprising. I mean, I'm 6'2", over 300 pounds, but I can tell you that even a much smaller full-grown adult is not going to be comfortable back there. The third row here is really reserved for children, maybe teenagers, or, you know, in a pinch if you got to go a short distance, but no full-size adult is really going to be comfortable back there. Still, it's nice to have the third row available, and it's also one of the things that's going to set the 4Runner apart from the Land Cruiser, and I think that's a question Toyota's going to get a lot. What's really the difference here? Why would I go for one over the other? The obvious answer is just the way they look. The styling is quite different. And then the more nuanced answer is the positioning in the market. 4Runner starts significantly less expensive than the Land Cruiser does. You can see the price comparison here. So yes, you're going to get in the 4Runner for a lot less money. Land Cruiser is also hybrid only. Land Cruiser is being positioned as the more premium upper market option, where 4Runner, yeah, is a little bit more affordable, especially around the base. At the top end, the TRD Pro and Trailhunter is actually a little bit more than the Land Cruiser, but that makes sense because you can't get those models from the Land Cruiser. So yeah, I like how they differentiated them on price and styling. From behind the wheel, they feel pretty similar. I would actually say the Land Cruiser has a softer feel to the suspension. It does have some body roll to it, where the 4Runner feels nice and tight. So a little bit of difference from behind the wheel, but I think what's really going to drive customers to either a 4Runner or the Land Cruiser is the price, and then just some of those physical differences, like having a third row, or hey, if you want a TRD Pro, well, you can't get a Land Cruiser, you have to come to a 4Runner. By now, you're wondering about pricing and model availability, so rather than me just read them all out, I'm going to throw up the whole little chart here that Toyota gave us so you can see every single price point for the entire lineup. Now, yes, it does feel expensive, and the 4Runner is a little bit more expensive than it was before, so you are paying more. In the context of the industry right now, no, it doesn't feel that expensive. It definitely lines up with its competitors. You're talking about, you know, a Wrangler Rubicon or a Ford Bronco Wildtrak or a Raptor even. The price points are comparable. So while I don't like the pricing and I feel like it's expensive, I do think Toyota priced it according to the market. All right, folks, now we're gonna have some fun. We're here in the Trail Hunter on the Trail Hunter off-road course, which is meant to be slow speed, rock crawling, some steep hills, and then there's also a couple of offset ruts to test out the locker and the stabilizer disconnect. Coming into these offset ruts, let's go ahead and disconnect the stabilizer bar. That's going to, of course, give us better articulation in the front end, should keep those tires on the ground a little bit more reliably to allow me to get through here. And I watched and shot, another 4Runner coming through here, and the tire lift was still there, but yeah, with the stabilizer disconnected, you just felt like those front wheels stayed on the ground that much longer, and that allowed you to get the traction. Now, the other thing we have here, of course, is a locker in the rear end, but then we also get Toyota's automatic limited slip, which essentially is not a physical limited slip. It's using the braking to split power, and Toyota's four-wheel drive systems are quite good and quite smart. So right there, I came through those ruts. I didn't even need the locker. Now, of course, you are wondering about the numbers, so let me read them for you. TRD Pro and Trail Hunter get the same off-road numbers. They're the best of the bunch. You're getting a 33-degree approach angle. You're getting 24 degrees of departure and 24 degrees of breakover and 10.1 inches of ground clearance. And yes, that's a full inch better than that TRD off-road. So if you want the absolute best numbers, you have to come to Trail Hunter and Pro. And what really is the difference? Well, the biggest physical difference are the shocks. The Trail Hunter uses the Old Man Emu 2.5-inch shock bodies, where the TRD Pro uses the Fox shocks. And TRD Pro is very much designed to be your high-speed desert runner. Trail Hunter is much more for doing what I'm doing right now, just picking along a little bit more of a technical trail. Now, at slow speeds in 4 low, I'll say the power feels really good from this hybrid. And yes, Trail Hunter is hybrid only. I would love to see a day where we could get just the turbo in a Trail Hunter and a TRD Pro, just to save a few bucks, and then frankly to save a bit of the complexity, because Trail Hunter is supposed to be an adventure machine where you go get lost somewhere, and yeah, just having a little bit less complexity, not hauling that battery pack. I think some people might want that. But anyways, for now, Pro and Trail Hunter are hybrid only. And on the flip side of my argument is the power does feel so good. You get that low end torque. It's obviously with the gearing in low range, you're also getting that power. And then the battery pack just provides that punch off the line, that little bit of electric torque, which feels quite good too. And it's easy to modulate, no problem with my right foot and keeping this thing just marching ahead slowly. Now, as the speeds pick up, that's where you feel the difference, where the TRD Pro is swallowing up whoops and bumps, at 30, 45 miles per hour. When those speeds start, when you hit those speeds, I should say here in the Trail Hunter, you feel it. It's just, the hits are a lot harder. Your teeth are rattling a bit more. So yeah, that's the obvious difference, is just once the speeds pick up, the Pro's gonna take care of you a little bit better. But the Trail Hunter's handling fine. Now, this is not a crazy hard course that we're on that Toyota set up for us, but just enough to show this thing off. I do like the proportions here too. We always say that about mid-sized trucks, and this feels the same, where it just feels right-sized to be out on a trail, not like some of the monster half-tons, and especially, the HD off-roaders that we have now. So yeah, absolutely feels right-sized. But overall, this is a solid adventure vehicle. We already knew that because the new Tacoma is quite good, and this 4Runner is right there with it. A quick word on the interior now. The first thing I'll say is, just like the Tacoma, I do like that they do have a pretty clear differentiation between the more affordable models and the more expensive models. What I mean by that is there's 2 different gauge clusters. So if you do get one of the more affordable models, you're not going fully digital. There's a smaller center screen too. And then when you step up to the expensive stuff, you get the big screen in the center and the fully digital gauge cluster. So nice to have a bit of differentiation there. And then overall, the interior, I think the best word I have is functional. Everything here feels very functional, very built for a purpose. There's a bit of styling, a bit of flash going on with the Toyota badge over there on the passenger side and some of the materials. But for the most part, I would say they built this thing just to make sure it would work and be convenient. And I would say that it is. It does seem very utilitarian and very functional. Now, why don't we pick up the speeds and go do a little bit of TRD proing. Plus, they're going to jump it. Now, they're not going to let us jump it, which is lame. But Toyota has a little jump demonstration, so we can watch them jump the 4Runner. So check that out, and then I'll go hit up the high-speed off-road course. All right, folks, and now the fun really begins. We're here on this more high-speed course with the TRD Pro. You're getting a POV view of this run. And first of all, I'll mention, love the camera system. Coming up and over those hills, so nice to have. Oh, the power feels really good. Especially with this hybrid, man. The second you put your foot into it, the thing has torque right away. Oh, the power feels awesome. So nice to get that extra hybrid power. Even though it makes these a little bit heavier, the power more than makes up for it. And then, yeah, overall, this thing definitely feels light on its feet. It feels like it wants to turn around corners rather quickly. Oh, and then the power in the straights. I can't get over how good the powertrain feels still. And that's really the beauty of adding this battery to it, is getting that punch off the line, allowing the turbo to spool up and provide you that power. Now, one thing that is noticeable, and it's noticeable in the Tacoma as well, is how small the windshield is. They've really shrunk down the size of this windshield. So, and even compared to the Land Cruiser, like I was in a Land Cruiser, and it's got a little bit more glass and greenhouse, it feels like. So I will say the visibility isn't amazing. The rear view mirror is kind of in my way, and that's just a function of the whole windshield itself being a little bit smaller over here. Okay, now we got another super steep hill here, and we're just going to creep over it in 4 low. So we got the gear reduction going on. Let's see what the inclinometer says. That's somewhere around between 15 and 20 degrees. And that was closer to 30 degrees on the downhill. Now I'm going to leave it in low because I'm curious what that feels like, especially once the transmission starts upshifting a little bit. And that's the beauty of having more gears these days, is even in low right now, because the transmission is able to upshift, you're still able to really move along with quite a bit of speed. Like I'm doing 14, 15 miles per hour in low, and it feels totally comfortable. I actually almost got up to 20 right there. So now we come over this hill. Boom. And that's the whole off-road course, folks. Pretty short, but I think the big things, you probably heard me say it, the power really feels punchy. Handling feels sharp. Power steering has good feedback. Yeah, for the high-speed stuff, man, Toyota really has done a good job here. Well, folks, we have arrived at the end of this video. Now, I think the summary here is pretty obvious. This new 4Runner is really nothing like the one it replaces, and that is a good thing because that old 4Runner was feeling ancient. Plus, we have more trims and more accessories than ever that's going to help you get out there on an adventure. So like I said, that's the end of this one. Now, of course, I need to hear from you. Drop into the comments. Let me know all your thoughts on this new 4Runner, and if you have questions, please drop them down there. I will make sure to do my best to get you answers. And while you're down below, don't forget to hit that like button, hit subscribe, hit join, become a member of Trucking, and then come right back here to see what we're testing next.